1993, deep inside the Sathyamangalam forest, a heavily armed police task force was quietly closing in on a hidden camp. Inside that camp, the tension spiked when a newborn baby suddenly began to cry. A single sound was about to expose the entire gang's location to the authorities. The camp's leader made an immediate, cold-blooded decision. He ordered the camp midwife to feed the infant a poisonous herbal juice, silencing the child permanently. This was Veerappan. Over 20 years, he claimed 184 lives, including ministers and police chiefs, and slaughtered over 500 elephants for the ivory trade. At the height of his influence, he kidnapped the film superstar Dr. Rajkumar. It was an act that brought the governments of 2 Indian states to a complete standstill for months. By sacrificing his own child to evade capture, Veerappan demonstrated a survival instinct that overrode every human moral boundary, making him appear invincible to the forces hunting him. By the early 2000s, state police and paramilitary forces had spent over 100 crore rupees on the manhunt. They had nothing to show for it. The jungle was his natural fortress, and the local Vanyar community viewed him as a protector. This local support meant that traditional police tracking and informant networks were effectively useless. When STF chief K. Vijay Kumar took command, he analyzed the failures of the past decade. He realized that fighting Veerappan inside the forest was a losing game. To end the reign of the Forest King, the task force had to stop chasing him through the brush. They needed to engineer a scenario where Veerappan would willingly walk out into the open. The STF solution began with deep intelligence gathering. Chief Kumar spent months reviewing confiscated videotapes of the bandit, looking for any sign of a weakness. He found it in a grainy recording. On camera, Veerappan was visibly struggling to read a piece of paper, pulling the document inches from his eyes to see the text. Informers soon confirmed the reality. The bandit was developing severe cataracts and was slowly going blind. He could outshoot a task force and hide from thousands of search parties, but failing eyesight was a vulnerability he couldn't outgun or camouflage. The STF couldn't simply use this information to launch a raid. The history of the manhunt was already defined by the catastrophic failure of direct action. Years earlier, Officer P. Srinivas attempted to negotiate a peaceful surrender. He was betrayed, beheaded, and his body was left in the jungle. In 1993, Veerappan used landmines to blow up a transport bus, killing 22 officers in a single blast. Past experience proved that whether the police tried negotiation or a frontal military assault, the result was almost always a massacre of law enforcement. Veerappan had 2 urgent needs: surgery to save his sight, and a fresh supply of modern weapons from the LTTE, a militant group in Sri Lanka. The STF intercepted his communications and flipped his trusted associates. They convinced Veerappan that a local contact had secured a safe medical transport and an LTTE arms deal. The task force called this bold plan Operation Cocoon. The trap centered on an undercover police ambulance that Veerappan believed was taking him to a secret eye surgery. To regain his lethal edge, Veerappan had to leave the safety of the trees. The STF turned his own biological desperation into a lure. On October 18, 2004, Veerappan took a final precaution. He shaved off his iconic mustache to hide his identity before boarding the ambulance. The vehicle, Dragon Drive Undercover Officer, carried Veerappan and 3 gang members toward a pre-selected ambush point at a deserted school near Dharmapuri. As they arrived, the driver suddenly slammed on the brakes and fled the vehicle. Dozens of hidden STF officers emerged and demanded an immediate surrender. Veerappan's men opened fire from inside the ambulance. The task force responded with a barrage of .338 rounds, riddling the vehicle in minutes. A 2-decade reign of terror, fought largely in the shadows of the forest, ended in a chaotic firefight on a paved road. When the firing stopped, the STF found Veerappan dead in the back of the vehicle. He had been hit by 2 fatal AK-47 rounds to the head. The autopsy confirmed the accuracy of the STF's intelligence. A fully developed, severe cataract was found in his left eye. The manhunt spanned 20 years, claimed nearly 200 lives, and cost hundreds of crores to find one man in the forest. The operation succeeded because the task force stopped hunting a warrior in his element and started baiting a patient, using the one physical vulnerability